Hey everyone, this is Tony Reeves. I want to tell you the 3 good decisions I made, 3 bad decisions I made, and the 3 ugly realizations that came from me running my own law firm. Good decision. I was able to identify good practice areas to make money. When I first started, I wanted to do something different from what I had been doing before. So what I did was I started going into those areas that I had an interest in and a passion in. At that time, it was doing employment law as well as doing Social Security. And then I started exploring some other areas like some family law, some workers' comp. To my surprise, I started making money fairly quickly with the employment law. So with the Social Security, I was doing pretty good. Number 1, bad decision. I eliminated practice areas. The employment aspect of it, I was getting very, very comfortable with the law, but all the logistics of doing it became cumbersome. So instead of just taking a second and figuring out a way to do the practice in a way that worked best for me or easier for me, I just abandoned the practice altogether and just solely focused on Social Security. And I didn't even realize until after I abandoned it that I did not have a replacement for the revenue that I was generating for it, because in my mind I thought, oh, I'll just make it up with the other practice area. And it wasn't until I closed that practice area that I realized how much money was coming in from that I let go away by closing that practice. Number 2, having a single practice area made it easy for me to drill down on things. Because I was solely focused on doing a particular area of law, that enabled me to be able to get more expertise in that particular area. It also gave me the ability to become more familiar with all the nuances. So this way, I didn't have to worry about ever switching from one practice area to another. I could solely focus on just one. Number 2, bad. Revenue stream was tied to the government. Because my whole source of revenue was just from doing disability law, that means if something happens with the government, everything would impact it. And let me tell you, it did. I went through a government shutdown, which means that during that time period, even cases I had won and the government owed me money, no money was coming out of the government. So I had a window of about a good 2 or 3 months where it was really ugly because I had put all my eggs in my basket of this one particular practice area. Number 3, I got good at selecting cases for employment law. For whatever reason, I had a knack for picking good cases. In part because I had done some investigation work previously in dealing with discrimination cases, and the burden shifting and the responsibility in terms of how you had to prove it, I was very comfortable with it. So I was able to identify cases in terms of looking at the strengths and weaknesses and the likelihood of getting something out of those cases fairly early on. I made a few mistakes in terms of getting familiar with the law early on, but as I started getting into the groove, I really was able to get a good grasp of what a good case was and what a case where I could make money off of. 3 bad reasons. I had no system to support doing employment law. Part of the problem, and you're going to find this out whenever you're running your own business, is it's not so much as important as making the money, it's making sure you have a structure to support making that money. So in my case, I was making money doing employment law, but I was not creating a process by which I could go through those cases, make money on those cases, and take care of all the little things along the way so that I could be efficient. As a result, I got frustrated very easily because even though I was good at doing it, my processes were cumbersome in terms of doing it in a way that made it easy for me. 3 ugly realities. Ugly reality number 1. I didn't speak to my loved one. Probably the smartest person that I had around me who was helping me out was my office manager, who happened to be my wife. And I, a lot of times, did not include her in my decision making. In addition to the fact that I had a lot of friends and fraternity brothers who were in various professions, whether they be marketing, whether they be banking, whether they be in accounting and finance, that I never talked to them at all about my decision making. So as a result, all the things you heard me talk about before in terms of the ugly decisions, I made them on my own with very little input. Ugly decision number 2. I didn't use the resources that I was already paying for. I had a CPA that also had a business practice component. I didn't start using them until like 8 years in because I never bothered to ask them about it. I had a marketing guru. I didn't sit down with her until the latter parts where I started saying, what do I need to do? And she was like, when were you gonna say something? Because I didn't want to encourage you because she didn't want to take my money and push me. But what was happening was I had, even my banker, I was using Wells Fargo, and they were like, when are you gonna come in so we can sit down and kind of analyze your funds? You've been with us for a while. We can help you make some decisions. because I had resources that I was paying for and I was using, but I was not maximizing all of the things that they had to offer. Ugly reality number 3, I did not evaluate my plan. Part of the problem that you're going to find is once you get out there and you start doing the work, it's easy to just focus on doing the work and not focus on evaluating your plan. Look at what you want to do in terms of planning for transitioning. I didn't plan to transition from 2 practice areas to 1. I didn't plan on transitioning in terms of bringing in other revenue streams outside of the government. I didn't plan on anything with regards to putting the processes in place. These things didn't happen until the latter part of me having my practice right before I closed, when I started realizing I'm doing a lot of this thing from the cuff, thinking I'm on my own. You're not on your own. You've got people around that can help you. And I will tell you, God bless all of the professionals. And I had quite a few professionals who were like, why did you not say anything? Open your mouth, because that typically will be the thing that keeps you from moving forward. Your desire to not feel like you want to burden anyone. So you keep that information to yourself.